I'll be able to see my screen. Welcome to week 3 of the Cleanse Challenge webinars, or starting of week 3 today. So thank you guys for joining in. For those of you who are live on with me, we're going to jump right in here. I was just telling Beverly while I was waiting for everybody, I'm drinking my dandelion tea, multitasking while I'm doing the webinar with you guys. So it was my last thing that I had to get in today. But so here we are at week 3. You guys are over the hump. We're halfway through. This is the time where you get to rally. If you feel like you've kind of been slacking the first 2 weeks, this is where you can fire it up full throttle and do the best that you can for the next 2 weeks that we have coming ahead of us. I know I'm going to be stepping up my game as well a little bit. I'm excited to do some liver flushing because I haven't done that yet. I've been doing my castor oil packs and things like that. So here we are, you guys. Last chance to, not last chance, but halfway through it, time to step up your A game. So real quick, just a recap. Now that we're kicking off week 3, if you guys missed the webinar, or even if you listened to it last week, a recap of what we talked about was, dialing your diet and your metabolic type. So using that food body language log to figure out exactly what makeup of nutrients your body needs to function at its best. So we talked about kind of the 3 different metabolic types, if you're a protein type, a mixed type, or a carbohydrate type. And that was part of the pre-challenge assessments that you guys had access to. If you haven't done them yet, you can still go back to those emails and do them. There's some links in there for you to download the metabolic typing. You can send me a copy so that I can see, and if let me know if you have any questions about it too. Or if you have your Ask the Expert session scheduled with me, which remember, that's part of your bonus. The metabolic typing stuff is a great thing to talk about. I've had quite a few sessions with some people. We've talked a lot about metabolic typing, how they can dial in their diet even more. So if I have that assessment that you've done in front of me, that makes that conversation go easier, because then I can see exactly what your metabolic type is and give you guys some guidance. But that was the big focus for last week, was all about diet. We also talked about making time to metabolize and how stress or eating on the go can actually affect how you metabolize foods and how you're uptaking nutrients. And nutrients are super essential while you guys are cleansing and detoxing. You need all of those nutrients from your foods to actually facilitate the 3 phases of detox. So you have to make sure that you kind of slow down to eat your food, de-stress around your meal times. And I gave you guys some tips on how to do that. And then we also talked about honing in on hunger and fullness. Making sure that you're feeding yourself when your body is ready to eat or when it needs to eat. So actually planning ahead for hunger. We talked about creating a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the most hungry or hangry, as I like to call it. And you should start planning to eat something when your hunger level is at a 2. And then on the flip side of that, also acknowledging fullness at a level 7. So on that same scale, 10 being the most stuffed as you could possibly be, recognizing when you're full and just satisfied versus eating past the point of that. And we talked about some tools and things that you can do, some physical actions that you can take to make sure that you honor your hunger and fullness as well. And then don't forget to tally up your points. So we did a points check-in yesterday. It looks like, I think Beverly might be in the lead based upon what people have posted so far. So if you haven't posted up what your points were for week 2 and then your total points, we'd love to see that. And, don't feel bad if your points seem a little bit low, because also posting on the Facebook group is an opportunity to stretch yourself and to get some support from the other people in the Cleanse Challenge. So if you've been slacking the first 2 weeks and you want to set your sights on something higher, then post that up there and give yourself some accountability. But remember, here's the things that you get to rack up points for. Remember, eating gluten, dairy, sugar, soy, and alcohol free every day. Eating those raw beets, grapefruit, and dandelion greens. Making sure that you're getting in enough water, exercise, and that you're asleep by 10 p.m. So we're actually going to talk about sleep today and why that's so important. And then also earning your bonus points with the liver flushing and the castor oil packs. We've had some brave people out there try some of the liver flushing. It's not so bad. Beverly will tell you. The first time she did it, she got a little nauseous, didn't feel so good, but the second time around, she did just fine. And then also, you guys are earning your points today for being on the weekly webinars. So make sure that you mark that down for attending tonight. And then if you missed any webinars and you're watching the replays, make sure that you mark that down too. And I can see when you submit your information for the replay that you're earning your points for that stuff. Cool, you guys. So let's dive into the content for this week's webinar. Like I just mentioned, we're going to talk about sleep tonight and why this is so important. So when I work with clients one-on-one, diet is the first thing that we work on, because when you're putting the right foods in your body, you automatically start feeling better energy-wise. And then sleep is the second thing that we work on. I don't even work on exercise until after we work on sleep, because sleep is the other thing that's going to give you more energy. And when you're feeling better and you have more energy, then you're going to be more motivated to work out and do the other healthy things that you need to do. So I would almost rank sleep as more important, not almost, I would rank sleep as being more important than actually exercise in most cases. I always tell my clients 10 out of 10 times, if you have to make the choice between getting the right amount of sleep and squeezing in a workout, I'm going to tell you to get your sleep, because sleep is so essential for balancing your hormones. It's also super important for the different phases of detoxing and cleansing your body. And also in order for your body to restore itself overnight. So let's talk about what the best kind of quality sleep is, because you hear a lot of different things out there, different, reports on the news of, 8 hours of sleep is good. No, 7 hours, no, 6 hours is totally fine. And it's not so much about the quantity as it is about the quality of sleep that you get. So you have a built-in system called your circadian rhythm, which your circadian rhythm is essentially what regulates your sleep cycles and your wake cycles, so your energy cycles. So an optimal circadian rhythm would be set so that your sleep time is happening between 10 p.m. and 6 a.m. So that's the optimal sleep time. And this is set by an internal clock that you have. So there's no tricking this clock or changing it at all. This is regulated by the sun and the moon cycles. So even when we go through daylight savings time like we're having right now, you guys might notice that as it's darker outside earlier, you actually are starting to get sleepy earlier. And that is because your body is directly correlating with the sun and the moon cycles specifically. So that's the best quality time for you to sleep is from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m., which is why in the Cleanse Challenge, you guys are earning a point if you're asleep by 10 p.m. And the reason for the 10 p.m. time is like the most important part. If you guys wake up a little bit earlier, that's totally fine. But critical sleep actually happens between 10 p.m. and 2 a.m. So because your body is set on this internal clock, it's kind of like, taking your car to, if you were to take your car into the shop every day to have a diagnostic test done on it. That's essentially what your body is going through while you're sleeping. And so it has set times in the night when it does this diagnostic testing and this restore and repairing that it has. So from 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. is when this specifically happens. And this is when your body is releasing what's called growth hormone, or you guys might know it as HGH, is released to do physiological repair and also anti-aging as well. This helps to restore the adrenal glands from stress. And those adrenal glands are really important for balancing your energy the next day, making sure that all of your other hormones are in balance. So your adrenal glands are in charge of balancing your thyroid, your estrogens, your testosterones, your progesterones, your melatonin levels. everything. So if your adrenal glands are not being restored, then that's going to throw everything else off in your system, including weight loss, any type of weight loss that you're trying to achieve, and making sure that you get maximum replenishment. So oftentimes when I have clients who come to me who are maybe doing all the right things diet and exercise wise, but they're not losing weight, we look at their sleep, and once we start getting them sleeping during this specific critical time, they start dropping weight like crazy because their body is able to nourish itself and repair overnight. The thing is like I said before, your body is on a clock. So if you miss the 10 p.m. marker, there is no making it up. It's on this specific clock where at 10 p.m. it's going to start running its diagnostics. It's going to be checking all its systems. It's going to be releasing growth hormones. So if you're not asleep at 10 p.m., you're missing that window. And no matter how much you sleep in the next day, there is no recovering from that. So it's really, really important to feel your best in order to feel your best to get to bed by 10 p.m. A lot of people will tell me, well, I'm a natural night owl, or I do better. I'm not a morning person. And that might be the case because that's all that you know. And one of my favorite phrases is, you only know what you know until you know something different. So once we start to maybe shift that slightly to that earlier bedtime, you'll notice that it's actually easier for you to naturally wake up earlier, and then you can get a lot more accomplished in the morning. So let's look at some things to help you guys be a super sleeper. So here's some of the common things that pop up with my clients that I see that we work on that can prevent you from getting that good quality of sleep that you need. So the first thing is, if you guys find yourself waking up between 2 to 4 a.m., that's a sign that your blood sugar has dropped. So if you think about this, depending on when you're eating dinner, if you have an earlier dinner, maybe at 5, 6, or even 7 o'clock, then by the time you get to 2 to 4 a.m., that could be over 8, maybe 10 hours of fasting. And so your blood sugar could be dropping. So the solution here is, if you find yourself waking up pretty regularly between this time, and that's an indication that your blood sugar is dropping, the solution is to eat a balanced snack approximately 1 hour before bed. So I'm totally going to bust the myth here about not eating before bed. I have a snack every single night before bed, pretty much, usually somewhere between 8:30 and 9 o'clock at night, and I go to bed pretty promptly at 10 most times. And I'm not gaining weight. It doesn't make me fat. If anything, it makes me feel better. And a lot of my clients experience the same thing. Like whenever somebody's having trouble waking up in the middle of the night, as soon as we implement this snack before bed, they like sleep like a baby instantly. No more insomnia. So you might be wondering, what does a balanced snack mean consistently? Or what does a balanced snack mean exactly? So a balanced snack is something that has a good amount of actually protein and fat, especially if you're a protein type from the metabolic typing assessment that we did to kind of balance out your blood sugar. That's really essential. So this could be as simple as a spoonful of like organic peanut butter. You could do a protein shake. My personal favorite is a Dale's bar. So I gave you guys some samples of the Dale's bars in your little goodie bags. It's almost like a dessert to me. Sometimes I even make my own like nighttime snacks. I do a combination of coconut oil and peanut butter and maybe some cacao nibs, and I mix that up with some chocolate pea protein powder, and then I freeze it, and it's like a little fudge bar when it comes out of the freezer. So those would be just some ideas for snacks for you guys to try if this is something that's happening to you. The other thing that you might experience, or a lot of people will have problems with, is actually trouble falling to sleep. Like you feel maybe wired but tired at nighttime. So this could be from overexposure or overactivity at nighttime, overexposure to lights. So things to try here is to unplug from all your devices at least 1 hour before bed. You'd be pretty amazed, like even your iPads or your cell phones or your computers, they will emit enough light at nighttime to actually trick your body into thinking that the sun is still up. Same thing if you have a lot of lights on in your house, that can trick your body into thinking that the sun is still out. So it's not allowing your body to naturally unwind and stick to that natural circadian rhythm that's ruled by the sun cycles, the sun and the moon cycles. And then also reducing your the light exposure in your house, and then turning your room into an ultimate sleep cave. These things can all help you fall asleep at a decent time. So, you can consider getting blackout curtains or just any kind of curtains. Like if you were to look at your room right now, your bedroom, do your windows face a street where there's maybe a street light that's out there that's coming on? Or do you have a lot of like little lights in your room from alarm clocks or cable boxes or any kind of devices? So not that I'm suggesting that you should throw your TV out of your bedroom or anything like that, but one of my super secret little tips that I do is I take electrical tape, and on the cable box in our room, I just put electrical tape over that little blue light, the power light basically that comes off the electrical box, so that light is not disrupting my sleep. And I actually travel with electrical tape in my suitcase so that if I'm sleeping in a hotel room or somewhere strange and there's alarm clocks or lights coming off of devices in the room, I can cover those up too, because the light exposure actually even gets absorbed through your skin. So it's not just through your eyes that this can disrupt your sleep, but actually exposure to light that gets absorbed through your skin can also disrupt your sleep. And then I think a big one for all of us is our cell phones. Like most of us use our cell phones as alarm clocks these days, or we, don't have house phones, so we keep them in our room in case there's an emergency call at nighttime. So even though you might have it on silent, if it's still vibrating next to your bed, like that little bit of sound or vibration can disrupt you. So on most phones, I have an iPhone, but I think this is on most phones anyways. In your settings, there's an actual do not disturb setting that you can put on, and you can tell it what times you want it to do not disturb. So this will completely silence your phone from all vibrating. And with the do not disturb, you can actually allow emergency calls to break through, because I've had that happen to me before where I've gotten emergency calls in the middle of the night. So that's kind of a fear for me. Like I want people to be able to reach me if there's an emergency. So there is an emergency setting in the do not disturb so that you can still completely silence your phone, but if there was an emergency, somebody would be able to break through with that emergency call. And it's usually considered an emergency call if they call like twice back to back or within a certain period of time, then your phone would consider that an emergency and let it break through the do not disturb. All right, you guys, so that wraps up sleep. Some things for you guys to do to be super sleepers in the next 2 weeks. Make sure you get to bed on time and you have good quality sleep to enhance your detoxing that you're going through. And so now let's talk about toxic exposure. So we've been working on a lot of things related to diet to help eliminate toxins out of your diet, and then incorporating those naturally cleansing foods. And in the beginning of the Cleanse Challenge, I touched on a little bit of information about toxicity in our environment. So we're going to kind of focus on that tonight also, because this is how you guys can take your detoxing and cleansing results basically to the next level. So how crazy is this that over the past 50 years, over 84,000 synthetic chemicals have been introduced in the U.S., and almost none of these have been tested for safety. So that's pretty crazy in the last 50 years. And we continue to develop these type of toxins all the time. And this is coming from Laura Adler, who's an environmental toxins expert. So she's really awesome. One of my mentors that I follow, if you guys want to look her up and check her out, has so much information about environmental toxins and how to eliminate them from your lifestyle or to reduce your exposure to them. And some of the big ones that we encounter are ones called obesogens. So these are foreign chemical compounds that disrupt normal development and the balance of lipid metabolism, which in some cases can lead to obesity. So that's the definition of an obesogen. And it's specifically what they do. An obesogen is a type of toxin, essentially, that disrupts our hormone balance. So your hormones are what regulate your weight overall. They also overload the liver, and they create a higher need for you to be cleansing a couple times a year, or to be working on cleansing all the time. When our liver is sluggish and overloaded, like we talked about, on I think it was the first webinar, that can cause adrenal fatigue and hormone imbalance. And what we're working on through the Cleanse Challenge is improving the function of our liver. So where do we find these toxins in our environment? The most common daily toxic exposure actually comes from a lot of our personal care products. Things like our deodorant, our soap, our toothpaste, our makeup, our shaving cream, our hairspray, also our house cleaning supplies, like whether that's just like your dish soap to like your Windex or whatever it is. Also your water and your air. These are the top places where you're going to find this toxic exposure. So what I want to show you guys tonight is how to reduce your toxic exposure. Well, one of the ways is to cleanse regularly, like we're doing right now, to do a seasonal cleanse like in the fall and the spring, like we've talked about, and then also to control what you can. So obviously we can't control all the variables in our environment, but there are a lot of things that we can control most of the times. So things like eating organic, this has been a focus point that we've had since the beginning of the challenge. I gave you guys kind of grocery list tips to go out and buy some organic foods. This minimizes your exposure to things like pesticides and herbicides. Another area is to drink natural spring or purified water. You should never drink any tap water, ever. I know some people still do that, and I grew up in an area where drinking tap water used to be okay because it was Northern California and that's what we thought. But regardless of where you live and how fresh the water is, it's always going through a treatment facility and being treated with chemicals. Plus, there's a lot of parasites and bugs that live in the system, the water system. So you don't want to be attracting any of that stuff either. So natural spring water, you guys can find that. There's a lot of delivery, options out there for natural spring water. You can find it at your local grocery store. You can do purified water at home, getting water filters. So it should be pretty easy for the most part to make sure that you're drinking good water. And then another big place where we find toxic exposure is actually in like our food containers. So you want to ditch the plastic containers and water bottles. And what you want to use is glass or stainless steel. And look for them to be marked that they're BPA and paraben free. Those are the two most common and disruptive toxins that can come in plastic or other type of containers. So most glass or stainless steel should already be BPA and paraben free. And then if you are getting plastic for any reason, then you want to make sure that it's marked free of those agents. Another maybe big one for you, depending on where you live or what your working environment is like, is getting a HEPA air filter. So if you're like in a corporate building that doesn't have good air circulation, maybe there's a lot of fire retardant material in there, getting a HEPA air filter for your office would be really good for you, or your home environment. If you live in some of these big metropolitan areas, I think in San Diego, our air quality is pretty good. But if you're in, LA or some parts of like Utah or other metropolitan cities where they have really poor air quality, then this would be great for your home too, is to get one of these HEPA air filters. They're fairly inexpensive. You can get them on Amazon for anywhere from like $25 to $100, depending on the size of what you want. And then something that's really important also is just to get outside and get fresh air daily. The air that gets stuck inside your house can actually be more toxic than the air outside, even if it's some poor air quality outside sometimes. So it's really important just to get outside and get fresh air. And that also means that you're getting some sun too, which is good for your vitamin D and to help regulate your sleep cycles when you get like 15 minutes of sunshine outside in that fresh air. And then where you guys want to do some investigation is with your personal care products. So there's a really great nonprofit organization called the Environmental Working Group. EWG is the abbreviation for that. And they have so many resources on their website. You guys should really check them out. But here's two of my favorite. They have the Consumer's Guide, which looks at all household cleaners and gives you an inside look at how toxic cleaners are and what would be some good, healthy alternatives for you. And then my other super favorite one is their Skin Deep website that they have. So Skin Deep is where you can check like all of your personal care products, everything from like your lotions to your shampoos to your makeup. And on the Skin Deep database, you can either type in what it is that you're looking for, or they have a list of things. And what you're looking for here when you're evaluating the toxicity, they're going to give you a rating of 0 to 10, and you want to aim for your products to be a 5 or less. So they have a very specific way that they're ranking them, and they categorize them. Like I just got a new Redken color protector extender hair conditioner, and I went on there and the toxicity rating was actually a 3, which is great. So it's not very toxic at all, but it was actually ranked really high for allergens. So I actually am kind of sensitive to it, my sense of smell, because of the allergen rating. So that's where you guys can also see how products might be affecting you in that kind of way as well. They have an app for your phone as also. So if you go into your app store on your phone, you can type in Skin Deep and you should find the EWG app. And if you download the app, you can it allows you to actually scan items while you're in the store. So that way you can check out the items just by scanning the barcode in the store before buying them. Or on the app, you can type in if the scanner piece is not coming up for you, then you can type it in and look at it right there. So I would, recommend for you guys, this can be a little homework for you over the weekend, is to maybe pull out like 4 or 5 of your personal care products and run them through the Skin Deep database and see just how toxic or non-toxic they are. And then once you get the results on that, if there's anything that's over a 5, then you can make a note to yourself to maybe swap that out for a less toxic item next time you run out of it. I'm also going to hook you guys up with a toxins checklist to assess your exposure in other areas. So I have a toxins checklist that I will post up on my website tomorrow with the recording of this webinar, so you guys can actually go through that checklist and evaluate your toxin exposure. And the links for the Consumer Guide and Skin Deep will be on there too to help you guys maneuver through that. And then of course, if you have any questions, I'm here to help you out with that stuff. So again, this is just another way to enhance your cleansing and detoxification benefits, to take it to the next level. And this is also part of, we're halfway through the cleanse, and next week we're going to be talking about life after the cleanse, what happens. So reducing your toxin exposure in your environment is kind of life after the cleanse. Like, how do you maintain the results that you've already accumulated through this cleansing process? And going through this toxin exposure and reducing this would be a big part of how you're going to do that. So just a few more things for you guys here, some other cleansing enhancements that you can try out if you want to, or maybe you don't know about them, or you do. So one of my favorite things is dry body brushing. So this is really cool. You just get a natural bristle brush, and you literally are going to brush your entire body. It helps to move your lymphatic system. So we talked about the lymphatic system on the week 1 webinar as part of your detoxing system. And when you do this dry body brushing, it helps to move all that lymph out and move it around so that your body can actually flush out those toxins. Anybody that has cellulite, it actually helps to reduce cellulite also. It helps to soften your skin as well, because it's going to help to shed all the dry skin. So a lot of great benefits to this. You can do this once a day, twice a day, a couple times a week, whatever's best for you. So if you guys go on Amazon, you can search for a natural bristle brush, say that 3 times fast, And you'll find a lot of different options, brushes with handles, without ones, palm brushes, whatever kind you want to use. Yoga is another great way to enhance your cleansing on a regular basis. There's certain poses in yoga that actually help you to activate your liver and other detoxification systems and organs. So you can cleanse like your thyroid and your kidneys and your gallbladder with some of these yoga poses. It also helps to reduce cortisol levels and balance your hormones. And then if you're taking a hot yoga class, it helps you to sweat out any accumulation of toxins too. Massage is another one of my favorites. I get a massage at least once a month. And this kind of is similar to maybe the dry body brushing, where it helps to increase circulation and it moves the lymphatic system. You also get a lot of benefits of reducing stress and cortisol and balancing hormones with this one, especially any kind of structural stress in the muscles or bones or tendons in your body. Acupuncture is another great one too. This helps to stimulate the immune system and circulation, and certain treatments of acupuncture can actually be specific to detox and digestion. So I actually went to acupuncture today, and my acupuncturist did some work with my kidneys to help enhance like my kidney functioning right now since I'm going through a cleanse. So they can work with the different meridian or energy pathways to work on specific organs to help you cleanse and detoxify or improve digestion. And last one on here is infrared saunas. So if you guys have access to an infrared sauna, maybe at your gym or a wellness center near you, these things are absolutely phenomenal. I mean, there's nothing that compares to an infrared sauna sometimes when it comes to detoxing, because it's different than sitting in a wet sauna. So most of you have been in a steam room before, and an infrared sauna is actually a dry heat. How it works differently is it heats your body from the inside out. So it actually stimulates the detoxing pathways. It opens up your pores and it increases sweat elimination of toxins ultimately. So it can take usually with the infrared sauna, you can sit in there for somewhere around 20 minutes, and you're going to pick a temperature that's right for you. Most people will start out at maybe 130 to 140 degrees. I know that sounds really warm, but it's actually not that hot because it's a dry heat, so it's not as stifling as like a wet sauna is. And doing that once a week or a couple times a week or once a month can really help to enhance detoxing pathways for you too. So these are just a couple of other things, again, you guys, that you can dabble into enhance your cleanse. This would be like life after cleansing. What are some things that you can continue to do, incorporate in your daily life that are going to help you to maintain and keep the benefits that you're seeing over these couple of weeks? So that's about it, you guys. I want to open it up for any questions that you have. So if you have any questions on your control panel on the webinar, go ahead and type them in so we can address some of the questions. I did have some recent questions. Just want to clarify for you guys in case you have them too that have been emailed into me. Somebody was emailing in just to clarify again that the dandelion tea does count as your dandelions. So if you are tired of eating dandelion greens or you don't like the flavor of them, you can definitely do your dandelion tea. And Dee Dee just said that she's doing her first liver flush in 25 minutes. So virtual high five, Dee Dee. That's awesome for you guys. Maybe I was talking to Valerie earlier today. Valerie's on the line. Maybe Valerie will do hers too. So good luck with the liver flush. I talked about this on the last couple of webinars because people have had questions about this too. Like, with the liver flush, it's different for everybody. So you may be totally fine the first time you do it, feel absolutely nothing, and the second time you might get a little bit nauseous or vice versa. So just know that that's completely normal. I did put some tips on the liver flush for you guys if you are worried about, getting nauseous from it or not feeling so great as a result of it while it's happening at nighttime. Some of the things that you can do are have some ginger tea or some ginger like chews available, because ginger is really settling for the stomach. Or you can take a digestive enzyme or some hydrochloric acid tablets. Those will also help to settle the stomach if it's a little upset and help to break it down. But just to give you some insights too on what the liver flush is doing, and if anybody has any more questions, please feel free to write them in the box. The liver flush is the first part of it, the apple juice and the Epsom salts. That's helping to give your colon a really good flush of your system, like get any waste out that's already in there. So if you guys read, once you do the apple juice and the Epsom salts, that's actually a diuretic. So you should have a bowel movement probably within an hour of taking that. If you don't, that's okay too. That happens for a lot of people. And then right before you go to bed, you're going to do your mixture of olive oil, grapefruit juice, and lemon juice. And so the grapefruit juice and the lemon juice, the acids in there are helping to break down the bile and the waste that's stuck in the liver. And then the oil is helping the liver to contract and give a really good squeeze to flush that kind of stuff out. So it'll be doing its work overnight after you drink that elixir. And then in the morning time, if you want to, it's not necessary, you can do another round of apple juice and Epsom salts to flush out your system. When I've done it, I haven't found that necessary, but that's me. And remember, everybody's different. And you might feel energized the next day. I know when I've done them in the past, I would wake up with energy, feeling like I could run a marathon. But you also might feel tired if it disrupted your sleep. So just know that either situation is totally fine. If you have any questions or concerns about what's going on with you when you're doing the liver flush, please reach out to me so that I can give you some guidance and help you guys with that. So cool, you guys. Well, I don't see any other questions popping in here, so I will go ahead and wrap this up for you guys. Thank you all for attending tonight. Remember, 2 weeks left, halfway there. So step up your game, stretch yourself, do the best that you can for the next 2 weeks. Remember, this is all relative to you, and I'm right here doing it with you guys. Have a good evening, and we'll chat soon.